All right, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out for today's informational meeting, and we'll go ahead and get started here. For the last several years, maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago, the chaplain department started taking trips to Israel, and we have done, I think, 8 of those over the years. And I've been a part of the last 3, and the others were before my time. And we had planned to go back in March. And then with the outbreak of the war over there, we just decided it wasn't very smart to go. We had great hopes. We delayed it a year, thinking maybe we would go March of next year. But that doesn't look like that's going to be much of a good idea as well. And so I began to investigate some months ago other possibilities. Those tours have been excellent, one for their biblical history, but also for the camaraderie, the experience, the opportunity that we get to do that together. And Pilgrim Tours, who is the tour company that we have worked with for all of those Israel trips, they've been doing world travel for decades and have been marvelous to work with. They offer, of many other places that they go, they offer this Christian heritage tour of England and Scotland. And they only offered it twice this year. They're going to offer it 3 times next year. They're going to do a May trip, a September trip, but we thought the July dates worked out best, mostly because of weather. In the spring, it can be very rainy, and rain can be that way in the fall, and it can be chilly. And so we found out July tends to be a drier time, and it can be a little more crowded, but we've been to Israel when it's been super crowded and made that work. So I'm very confident that the crowds won't be an issue. So I talked it over with Carmen and Terry Walsh, and they all agreed. My counterpart at Sunset Hills, Jim Savage, thought it was a great idea. He was the one that first started taking us on the trips to Israel many years ago. And so I've put together this tour in cooperation with the folks at Pilgrim Tours. So I want to just go over some of the details. Feel free to ask questions as we go. I have a series of slides. It's a repeat of most of the information that's in this packet, but a chance for us to kind of go over it together and discuss some things. So let's hit some of the highlights here. If I can get my program to work. All right. So where does this happen? It's 8 different cities or towns across England and Scotland. We fly into London at Heathrow Airport, and we'll spend the first 3 or 4 nights there in London, and then we make our way north. We will end up in Edinburgh, Scotland, by the time that it's done. So that's and we'll go over itinerary here in a little bit. The dates are July 16th, that's a Wednesday, that we would depart, through Saturday. Coming back, we'd fly in probably, depending on the flight times, but likely in the morning on July the 26th. That is a Saturday. And then who can come? Any resident here at the village, any family member that you have, any of your friends that want to come, any prospective residents, and of course staff, and that includes both folks from here at Friendship Village Chesterfield and from Friendship Village Sunset Hills. The tour is being offered to them as well. When I checked with the representative at Pilgrim Tours a month ago, nobody was yet signed up for this trip. It is wide open. It is a trip that's open to the public, and I think they can take 30 or so folks. Maybe 40 on the bus, I think that it holds. And so the sooner we sign up, the better, but we are well ahead of the game in terms of the sign-up times. So let me get right to what's it cost. And what I've put on here is what we're going to call the regular price and then the group price. The group price goes into effect if at least 6 of us go. And so if there's only 5, we get stuck with the regular price. So the land trip, they charge $3,974. But if there's at least 6 of us, that's $3,577. It's a 10% discount is what it is. And so that's the monies that goes direct to Pilgrim Tours. Other costs. What's it cost to fly over there and back? And this is a little bit of the unknown. I worked with their tour guide. We're looking at prices, next year, and we're trying to anticipate, and it is a busier time. And the flight will be into London, but the flight out is from Edinburgh, and the flights out of Edinburgh are a little more costly than the ones out of London, the way this trip works. And so our best estimate, we've tried to account for those prices, is about $1,800 as an estimate. That could fluctuate. That's why that says EST there. We don't know exactly until the tickets are purchased. Now, if we have 15 or more folks go, Pilgrim Tours will work with the airline to negotiate a group price. And so the more of us that sign up, the likelihood of getting I don't know how big the discount would be, but some form of discounted airfare group price would go into effect as well. So we're hoping to hit it lower than that, but that's a ballpark figure on the price of airfare. The other costs that we highly, highly recommend to you is the purchase of travel insurance. You are welcome to buy your own wherever you can find it. Pilgrim Tours works with a group called Alliance. Their information is on the very back page of your packet in this blue section here, Alliance Travel. And Alliance Travel offers two types of travel insurance. We recommend the one with more coverage. It comes in at 10.85% of your trip. Why is that important? Because a lot can happen in a year, right? If we sign up now and somebody breaks a hip in 8 months, we don't wish that on anyone, but we have to also be realistic about what are the things that could happen in a year. And so if suddenly you were very sick or those kind of things and had to pull out, it's your travel insurance that helps you get your money back. Once we are 91 days out, they have it in the fine print here somewhere, in that very last page. If you are 91 more days out and you want out for the trip for any reason, they'll charge you a $100 service fee and you'll get your money back. I think the travel insurance is not included in that, but their cost, any airfare, that would be included. But if it's day 90 to day 60, you lose your deposit entirely. Your deposit's $300. If you're less than 60 days out, you'll lose 40% of your cost. If you're 45 days, it just tiers down. And if you pull out a week before, you don't get any money back. But that's why you have your travel insurance. And so it would cover lost luggage. It would cover if you had an emergency situation while you were over there, if you needed medical care, if you needed extra accommodations. That's what your travel insurance is for. And being an international trip with all of us as a group, that's what we highly, highly, highly recommend to you. And it's reasonable. If you compare those with other insurances, Pilgrim Tours isn't making that money. That's all Alliance Travel, but they have been a partner with Pilgrim Tours for decades, and it's worked out very well. So that would be the cost. And you see there's a difference in the travel insurance. If the trip costs you less, you will pay less in insurance, right? Because it's just based on the percentage. So our total, if at least 6 of us go, is somewhere around $5,900. If it comes out to be $5,961 exactly, I will be amazed, right? But that means somehow we guess the airfare exactly right. I'm not sure. So, give or take some dollars with the airfare, that's our expected cost on the trip. Now, having said that, that assumes 2 of you to a hotel room. If you want your own room to yourself throughout the trip, Pilgrim Tours charges another $1,200 on top of that. And that because it helps them cover all their costs on their end. So a single supplement is an additional $1,200. So please keep that in mind as you make your plans. All right, what's included for that money? Well, it's our flight to London and our return flights from Edinburgh. And when I say flights, we will fly from St. Louis to a hub, and from that hub on to England, right? We anticipate one stop on the way there and on the way back at this point. So it covers that flight. It's 8 nights in what they call 4-star lodging. It's not 5-star lodging, but it's not 3-star. It's going to be a nice place. You'll be glad to be there. It'll be comfortable, and you'll be well taken care of. It includes arrival and departure transfers. What's that mean? They will meet you at the airport. They will get you back to the airport, so when it's time to go. So our transportation needs are taken care of right from when we arrive. There's breakfast every day at the hotels, and they are nice breakfasts. It's not just a donut and a cup of coffee. They have nice design for these tours. Daily breakfast at the hotels. There are 3 dinners that are included. There's a dinner right the very first night after the first full day. There's a group dinner that they've provided for. There's a group dinner on the last day. When we're in Scotland, there's a final farewell dinner that they'll share with us. And about halfway through the trip, there's a night that we arrive in Nottingham, and that meal is covered as well. So those 3 dinners are taken care of. It includes the tour guide. It includes it's a bus. They called it Deluxe Air-Conditioned Transportation. It's a nice bus at that, right? It's a nice charter bus. And of course, entrance to all the sites listed in the itinerary, that's all included. So whatever fees that other people are paying to get in, that's all a part of your tour. What's not included? Lunch. We will have opportunity for lunch places that we go, and there'll be places that we stop. If you decide you want to get a lunch while we're all stopped in that place, you can do that. Some of you will find that with a breakfast at the hotel and dinner at night, that maybe that is sufficient for you. But if you want a lunch, we will be at lunch places, but that's at your own expense then. There are 5 dinners not included. So we get to the end of the day, we make it back to the hotel, and then we will be very near other area restaurants where we can go and break into groups or however we want to go, but those dinners are at your cost at those places. Now, for those of you who have been to our Israel trips, you'll find that that is a difference. In Israel, so much of the economy is set up for tourism that those hotels all have large buffets. We all eat like crazy when we're on those trips, and it's included with the hotel. England is not set up with the same tourism type industry, but there's plenty of restaurants and places to go, but that's why those dinners are handled differently on this trip. So 5 dinners are on your own, and what you spend on those is up to you and where you go, but we'll help you find places. The other part that's not included in the England and Scotland tour are tips to the guide, to the driver, and of course any of the hotel staff that assist you. And so someone says, so what do I need to pay them? What should I plan on for tips? So Pilgrim Tours, this is their recommendation. They suggest that for every person that attends, so if you travel, this would be for each of you, that you would plan on £4 a day. That's 40 pounds over the 10 days. We're not talking weight. That's the British, the Great British Pound, right? So that translates to about $50 overall. They recommend that at the end of the trip that we come together and tip the driver £3 a day. That works out to about $38 for the service of the driver per person, that we would be willing to contribute that. And then the hotel maids that clean your room, much like here, about £1 a day. Actually, it's a little less than here. The pound, the British pound sterling, is $1.27 today. So you're giving your hotel maid $1.27 to service your room, right? But that's tipping. It doesn't have the same standard there like it does here, and it's not always anticipated. By the way, when you go out to eat, you should look for that on your bill. Some restaurants will put in a service charge, and that's your tip. But if it's not, then you should tip. They recommend 15% or so to any meals over there. And then your hotel porter, who's that? That's someone's carrying your luggage to your room. And they recommend £1 per piece of luggage. So if you have 2 luggage pieces, that'd be £1 per luggage piece. Now, having said that, you're at the same hotel in London the first 3 or 4 nights. And then we're in a couple different hotels between there and Edinburgh, and then the last couple of nights in Edinburgh, you're in the same hotel that night. So that's what they recommend for tips. Where is it that we're going to go? Now, in the packet that you have, I'm going to give you some highlights here on this thing, but you'll notice a couple pages in, I have copied from their website the full itinerary of the trip. And so it'll tell you all the places and all the stops. It doesn't give you the exact name of the hotel in this brochure, but all the places that we're going. So day one, we're just leaving St. Louis and traveling to England. The time we do our layover and get there, it will be a full day travel. Day two, we will arrive in London. It will likely be early in the morning. The big place that they have to take us there is Hampton Court Palace. What is Hampton Court Palace? That is the place where King James commissioned the King James Authorized Bible. And you'll see where that happened, and there's a whole palace area to go with that. And so we get to tour that on that first day. And you'll notice on this screen here, I put a big letter D. That's because they're giving us dinner that night. It's included on that first day. And if you want the other details, you can read through some of the description of that day. Day three, we will go to Westminster Abbey. We will take a Thames riverboat tour and see much of London from the riverboat as it takes us through London on riverboat. The day will end. You'll have an opportunity. If I talk about the London Eye, do you know what that is? That great big, gigantic Ferris wheel looking thing. It's huge. It is the largest type structure like that in London. You get panoramic views of the whole city from the London Eye. And so that's included, and we'll be a part of that. I get a little nervous about heights. We'll see. You might have to hold my hand on the London Eye. We'll see how that works out. Day four, we visit the Metropolitan Tabernacle. That is where Charles Spurgeon held many of his great revival meetings, and we'll have a chance to tour that. There were 6,000 people that would gather on a Sunday. That was in the mid-1800s. Think about that. So we will see Metropolitan Tabernacle. We will also visit St. Paul's Cathedral. We'll go to Bun Hill Cemetery. That's where John Bunyan, Isaac Watts, John Gill, Susanna Wesley, many others are buried there. And then we will tour the Tower of London. That's where the crown jewels are held. And we will spend some time there on day four. On day five, we leave London. So those first 4 days, the day of travel, then 3 days in London. Then we will travel to Salisbury. There's a famous cathedral there that we will see. We will, on the way, we will pass by Stonehenge. You'll have a chance to go and see that. Stonehenge is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's directly on the road to where we need to be, so we'll stop and see that. And then we will end up that evening in Oxford. And it says dinner at our hotel, but I don't think it's included in the price. I think it's extra. And Oxford's a delightful town. You'll have a time to stroll through that and see some of the shops and experience parts of Oxford. Day 6, then, we will actually tour Oxford, because we're just getting there on day 5. We'll travel, and then we will go to Stratford-upon-Avon. Do you know what that is? So Shakespeare, right? The great Shakespearean plays and his home and all of that. And so you'll have an opportunity to experience that and tour that area. And then, of course, Oxford is where C.S. Lewis taught. And, of course, many famous alumni, both Charles and John Wesley are alumni. Lewis Carroll, William Penn, Albert Einstein, John Locke, J.R.R. Tolkien, and many others. And so we'll see parts of Oxford and that, go to Stratford-upon-Avon, and then we arrive in Nottingham that evening, in a very picturesque area, and dinner is provided there that night in Nottingham. Day 7, then, we will travel to York after breakfast, and York is the closest you can find today to get a feeling of what was medieval England like. The way the shops are done, the way that town is set up, you'll get a feel of medieval England there in York. And there's a great stone glass window that goes all the way back to the 1300s and some other sites there. And then that night we arrive in Edinburgh, Scotland. Day 8, we will tour Edinburgh Castle and St. Giles Cathedral, where John Knox was appointed minister. Day 9, we will then stroll through St. Andrews. Anybody know what famous sport was invented in St. Andrews? Golf, that's right. So we will see the origins of that. We will tour Stirling Castle. And then that evening there is a final Scottish dinner together. Day 10, we get to the airport and off we go into the wild blue yonder, coming home. That is an overview of the trip. Now you can read all the specific details in your program and see it from there. If you come on the trip, what should you bring with you? Well, first thing, you need your passport. And if you don't have a passport, you should apply for one. I think everyone should have a passport anyway, because if you ever decide you want to go someplace, you're just ready to go. And your passport, when you travel on a passport, it needs to expire not less than 60 days of your departure time. So some people say your arrival time, and I just like to play it safe. Because if something happens and you get stuck in the country for whatever reason, you don't want your passport to expire while you're there, right? And so the general rule of thumb is if you're planning to travel in July and your passport expires in August, renew your passport before that and get that done. And it takes anywhere generally, depending on the number of applicants, I have found 3 to 6 weeks. They tell you it can take up to 3 months, but I have almost never heard of that happening. There are no extra visas that you need to enter into England. Your passport is sufficient. You will need British currency. Unlike when we go to Israel and they like the US dollar, the British are very fond of their own currency. And so you'll need to arrange for any spending money that, of course, your credit card will work over there. And your credit card, you need to notify your credit card company, let them know that you're traveling internationally, and they will do the automatic exchange rate with the current rates. Often, more than likely, your credit card company will charge a service fee of like 1 or 2% on the charge to make that transaction that goes right to them. But any spending cash that you want and tipping money and all of that, you should plan on bringing British currency. You can work with your local bank, and as it comes closer to the time, if people have trouble, we'll figure out a way. We'll find a way to get that done for you. You'll need, yes ma'am?
Couldn't you take money out when you get there with your ATM card?
Yes, you certainly can.
And then they give it to you in pounds?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And no fee?
And what?
Well, we experienced no fee in South America.
Yeah, so I can't tell you what the fees are for that.
I don't think a fee.
And so I wouldn't count that there's no fee.
Well, you could have.
I would expect a fee and hopefully be pleasantly surprised if there's not one.
Well, you can ask the bank to help.
Yeah, you can, and you can work with your bank. But sometimes whoever owns an ATM, just like if you go to an ATM now, and it's an ATM not owned by your bank, the owner of that ATM will probably charge you a service fee. So you could have that. And how that works internationally, I can't tell you. But I would talk to your bank.
Well, you pay later anyway.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to carry it.
You will need an electrical converter. Your standard US plug will not work over there. And so Pilgrim Tours recommends they call it a Type G outlet adapter. And Walmart sells travel adapters and that kind of thing, and you can order from Amazon. But anything that you want to plug in, if you want to charge your phone, you will need an adapter in order to do that. Of course, all the standard stuff when you travel, any personal care products, medicines, anything you would normally take on a trip. Now, having said that, please don't take more than 2 pieces of luggage because you will need to move your own luggage, from the airport to the bus and all of that kind of thing. When it's time to load the bus, you'll bring those down to the bus, and the driver and others, many in the group, will help load it on, but you'll be responsible often from getting it from your room to there. So think about what you have to travel with you. And of course, clothes that you would normally wear on vacation. My recommendation to you, though, don't wear your flip-flops, wear good walking shoes. And that's because with all those sites and in and out of the bus, you will walk anywhere from 3 to 5 miles total over the course of the day, not all at once. And for those of you that have been on our trips to Israel, it's a similar amount of walking. The good news is the walking in Israel tends to be a little more rugged than what it is in England and Scotland. At least that's what their representative told me. And so, it's not all cobblestone streets and all that kind of thing, but you got to be able to get yourself in and out of the bus multiple times, and there is probably 3 to 5 miles, depending on the day and where we are, walking that could take place. So you want to have good walking shoes. What's the weather like? It's mild. Lows tend to be even upper 50s to low 60s at night to mid 70s in the day. Now, having said that, they could have a heat wave just like we could have a heat wave. But typical times, and Scotland a few degrees cooler than what it will be in London and England. So moderate temperature. July tends to be a drier time. That's why we've looked at those particular days. What's the time difference? They are 6 hours ahead of us here. So if you're thinking about phone calls and contact back home and that kind of stuff, you want to plan that there's 6 hours difference. So we fly into the future to get there, and then we move back to the past when it's time to come home. All right, next steps. If you are serious about going on this trip and really want to know what do I do next, there's a registration form in this packet. You can fill that out. And please turn that in with all the information. They're going to want to know, and I understand it's a little fine print, and if you need help filling it out, I'm glad to help you. There's going to be a place to put your payment method, whether you're paying by check or by credit card, place to put in all that information. There is information on your name, address information, your passport number, all of that would go into this registration form. If you, instead of filling it out on paper, if you would rather fill it out online, you'll notice right here near the top, it was a great big long website address, and I worked to just shorten it. So you'll see it says tinyurl.com. That's a service. TinyURL is a website service to help redirect long addresses. So I had that created. tinyurl.com / those numbers and letters. You can type that into your website browser. It'll take you to an online version of this where you can fill it out online. If you do that, though, please let me know so that I know that you have done that, and as I work with their representative to make sure that you're included under our name here at Friendship Village. Otherwise, you can fill in this form and turn it in to me, and that would be fine as well, whichever you're more comfortable with. And we're asking that you turn this in by Monday, August the 26th. That's 3 weeks from yesterday. And that gives us a chance to get our forms, get them turned in. What I do, if you give me your form, I fax it to them. I will fax them all together as a group, and so that they get one set of registrations from here at Friendship Village, Chesterfield. And then I just keep them filed away. I can even give it back to you once they're sent and do that. So, so by Monday, August the 26th. So you fill out your registration form, you turn it into me. What happens then? They will charge you a $300 deposit right away. If you're writing a check, you want to make out your check for that $300 deposit. And then within a matter of days, they will charge you the travel insurance. This is why if you're able to do it via credit card and do that, it just kind of expedites matters. If you'd rather do that by check, they will get back to you, give you the exact amount of the travel insurance, and those are the two costs that have to happen right away to do that. And then airfare will be charged once the group is set and they negotiate with the airlines. There's only certain airlines that we can use because the airline that services the tour, in order to do a group rate, has to fly into London and has to fly out of Edinburgh. And not every airline works at both airports. And so British Airways does, American Airlines does, there's a host of airlines that do. And so we have to figure out what works with us here in St. Louis and getting out. But they will charge you then for that airfare at the time that they negotiate that. That could be a month, that could be 2 months, that could be 6 months down the road as they work to accommodate the best price. What they do is they'll come up with some options. They'll call myself and Jim Savage and they'll say, okay, this is what we come up with. What do you guys think? Do you feel like this is a good price and good times? And we'll look at, is it really just one stop? Is it, 4 in the morning or what, all those kind of things, trying to figure out the best time we get there, and then they'll make the purchase. And then any balance that's due, May 15th would be 91 days out, or 61 days out. And so they want the balance due 60 days before, so all your payments taken care of. You could pay a certain amount every month if you wanted. You could send it in. You could do that. You could have it all charged to a credit card at once. You could, however you choose to do that, but that balance is due then by May the 15th. That's the quick overview, and all the details are in this packet. What questions do you have? Janet.
You said clothing would be the same as whatever your usual would be. Well, whenever we go to upscale restaurant,
So that's a possibility if there's an upscale. So you might want to bring an upscale outfit. That's up to you. But daily wear, you want to think about, in and out of a bus, comfortable for walking. Think about the typical weather, 60s to 70s. Do you want a sweater with that? Are you good without one? Evenings will be cooler. So those are the things to think about in terms of attire. And then if you wanted to dress up and go someplace for dinner, bring an outfit for that. But that's up to you at that level. I would not recommend, shorts for every day. There might be some days that's good, but you might get cool. I know that. Now watch, having said that, it'll be 85 every day, right? That we do our best a year out to predict, but based on the weather patterns and those kind of things. And you want to be respectful of the sites that we, some are our famous old cathedrals and churches and things like that. But it's not like Israel, where we go and your attire, ladies, you had to have your head covered in some places, and you had to have your arms covered in some places. It's not like that. This is Western Hemisphere typical.
Slacks are appropriate for women.
What's that? Slacks are absolutely appropriate for women. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Yes?
Yeah, I was just trying to read through the cancellation policy on the part of the insurance company. Acts of God and wars and things like that. Who determines that?
So, if Pilgrim Tours cancels the trip for whatever reason, if they cancel, your money is refundable. All right? If we cancel, then we work with the travel insurance, which is why we recommend the higher price 10.85% insurance. One of the differences between the lower price and the higher price is, you'll notice here, it's cancel anytime. Any reason, anytime. And so what you don't get back is the price of your travel insurance. Your travel insurance is what covered, if Pilgrim Tours did, you would get it all refunded. But you don't do it now. Having said that, we were trying to figure that out on the last Israel trip. We were trying to figure out ways to get as much money, because we canceled very early at that. And so for some people that left their money with Pilgrim Tours, Janet, you're with one, everything you paid in will transfer into the new trip. There's a $100 fee for that, but I'll take care of that fee, because we're not going to charge anybody to sign up. Catherine, you did a refund, but I think there was a portion you didn't get back, maybe?
Well, that's what I've been thinking, but I didn't want to.
And I think it was the cost of that travel insurance, but I have worked out a deal. As Friendship Village, we'll reimburse you that cost. I'm doing that for someone else. I can certainly do that for you.
Now, will that, what you said, will that be the same to my friend Judith?
Yes. Now, she signed up through Sunset Hills,
Right.
so they should deal with it on their end, but if they don't, I will.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, yeah, well, I didn't want to be a crab about it, you know, but I.
No,
I kinda
but
felt
but
like-
it was kind of in question for a while,
Yeah.
and then it kind of went on too long.
Yeah.
And so I just made a decision, one way or the other, we're going to make sure you get your money back. I have budget that I can do that with. So, but we were trying to figure out if there was a way to do that within Alliance Travel. But, so it might be that if you go on the new trip, we discount you whatever we owe and apply it, and your trip is that much less.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
One way or the other, we will figure that out.
That would be super.
I want you to have no fear or doubts about any of that, right? It's worth it to take care of that. All right, any other questions today? Linda?
Do you know if the hotel will be in a place where we can easily walk to sites and shopping and make sure?
My now I haven't done this trip personally myself, right? This is new to all of us. But my understanding of that is yes, that the hotels are located within walking distance of shops and restaurants and all of that. But I can't tell you the exact nature of that because I haven't done this trip before. But that is my understanding. In fact, several of the days, that's the plan. We get to the hotel with the idea that you could easily walk to a place to eat and easily you'll have some time that maybe you could hit some shops and things like that.
Or see sites?
Yeah, but they tend to be full days. So you might not be to the hotel till 5 o'clock or so at night.
Well, there's one day it says the remainder of the day.
Yeah, so I don't know what remainder of the day means. But that's the idea. They're trying to allow space and opportunity for those kinds of things. Any other questions?
Can you take a walk?
Yes, you can take a walker. Many of our folks have taken walkers. Some of our folks on the previous trips have also taken walking sticks, the kind that you have maybe in both hands, and they have done that, and many of our folks have found that to be very, very helpful. So, and many of us that are there, we're there to give an extra elbow too, and lend whatever help we can to help you get wherever you need to be. So, I'm fairly sure Carmen is going on this trip. She's told me she really wants to go. Whether her husband Ted comes, or whether a friend of hers comes, or her daughter, or her sister maybe. I think she said sister, not daughter. She's working that out, right? But I think Carmen is going to go, and how many other staff go, we'll find out between here and then. And of course, the folks from Sunset Hills have the opportunity as well.
Will Sunset Hills count in the total of 6 that we have?
And to get our group discounts, yes, their numbers count. That's right. So if we have at least 6 counting them, then we're going to get that lower price. If we have at least 15, them included, we'll hopefully get a lower airline price as well. Any other questions? All right. You have your registration form. Please turn that in. If you're willing, I'm not asking for a commitment, but if you're seriously thinking about going on this trip, can I just see a show of hands? I'm trying to get an idea of just where we stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Myself would be 10. It sounds like we're going to get the lower group rate, right? So Carmen would be 11. My wife's going to go. That's 12. We're well on our way. All right. I'm available if you have any other questions that come up over the next few weeks. While we've been doing this, I have been recording this event as well. And I don't know when yet, but if you have friends that maybe are interested but couldn't be here, I would be glad to meet them with them individually. But I will also find a way to repeat this program on channel 2493. They could watch it right from their apartment as well. And I'll let you know when those times are. I don't know yet. I just had the idea to record it just before we started.
It can't be sent to somebody that doesn't live here.
Actually, it could, because My recording system is through YouTube, and so I will link 2493 to an online video, but I could make that link available to you, and you could send that to whoever you'd like, and they'd be able to watch this video online on their device.
But the same thing is going to happen at
Sunset Hills is also going to do a presentation. I don't know when their presentation is. My understanding is at one time they were talking about September. However, a few weeks ago before I went on vacation, when I finished this packet, I sent it to the chaplains over there. They have all this exact same information. And I think there has been some distribution because Pilgrim Tours got a call from somebody at Sunset Hills. And I thought, how did they even know? But I don't think they've done their meeting like this yet. And I don't know when that's going to be. My understanding is maybe not till September, but I don't know their schedule and what they're doing. I didn't want to put it off. I wanted to at least get us signed up and get our names in. So, all right. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Anyone that else has final questions, I'd be glad to ask. But really glad that you're considering. All of our past trips have proven to be a time of great fellowship, really connecting with one another, a real sense of spiritual enrichment. There will be a time of sharing on the bus as we travel. It will be meaningful, and there will be lots of many treasured memories. And so I'm looking forward to having you do this. Now, I came up with this idea. I worked with Pilgrim Tours. I got the approval, and so we lined it all up. And then I found out within like 3 weeks of that, Sunrise Tours is doing their tour of Belgium and Holland in April.
I heard that.
And so I was not aware of that trip when I put this together. And if you have the means to go to both trips, I'm sure the other trip is wonderful. But I don't have, the other's not being done, of course, through the chaplain departments. That's through activities, and that's all Sunrise Tours. I don't know of any of the details on what that costs or what's involved. I'm sure it's a lovely trip. They do nice trips. But I didn't mean to put out a competing trip. I was just looking to replace our Israel trips because that's not able to happen. But I think this will be delightful and very meaningful as well. So I hope that you strongly consider traveling with us. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time. I'll have some signs up and be making announcements later when we kind of do these repeat showings, and I'll very quickly make the link available for anyone who wants to watch it online.
Are you still planning something to Branson or something at Christmas time?
Thank you for that, Jim. The last couple years, we have done trips to Branson.
Yeah, I'm thinking more than one day, though.
And that's exactly what I'm thinking. And so all the details have not yet come together, but I can give you the kind of sneak preview of what we're thinking about Branson. We have set aside 3 dates in November, the 12th, 13th, and 14th. That'd be 2 nights in Branson. And I'm waiting on the estimate to come back from Mid-American Busing. They've provided our buses before. And so I'm waiting on their email today. And the tentative schedule would look something like this. There's still some things to be determined, but the 12th is a Tuesday. It's we would travel by bus, check into the hotel. It's a different hotel. I was very unhappy personally with our hotel last time. We are checking into the Savannah House Hotel. I have signed a contract with them. I can release those rooms in October if I need to, but right now they're held for us. And we would go that night to Dolly Parton's Dixie Stampede, they're doing their Christmas show on that night. So it would include dinner as a part of that, and that event we'd come back to the hotel. The next day would be a full day. There's Branson's Christmas Wonderland show in the morning. We would do a lunch at the Branson Landing, which has all kinds of shopping and all of that. The 3:30 show would be the Sight and Sound Theater. They are doing their Christmas story. They only do it every 2 years. They don't do it every year. This happens to be the year. So we would take that in at the Sight and Sound Theater and then do dinner after the show, probably at the Great Country Buffet. We've eaten there before, but now that would be a place that we go afterwards. Then we'd spend the night at the hotel. The next morning, we'd get up, have breakfast at the hotel. It is a nice breakfast. And then go to see the Irish tenors and the Celtic women. They have a 10 o'clock in the morning show. we'd end that, grab a quick lunch, and then get the bus back here to Friendship Village, be here close to dinner time. So the 12th, 13th, and 14th of November. Now, with the bus and 2 nights lodging and all those shows, I don't have the exact price yet. It's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $800 to do that. But you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4 shows. The one show includes dinner the other night. You're getting breakfast every morning. You're getting your hotel and the bus. The bus is the biggest part of the expense. And it's going to be somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000 for the bus. And we're hoping to take about 30 people. Now, if we fall far short of that, then we'll figure out other transportation. But that's the tentative plan. But that's why all those pieces are still like on the puzzle table, and all the pieces are here, and you can kind of see the picture, but we're not quite there yet. That's kind of where we are with the Branson trip. But those are the details of that coming together. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. I'm going to go back and turn off our camera, and then, or I guess I can do it from here at the computer.
Thank you very much.
And be delighted if you're able to travel with us. It will be a phenomenal, phenomenal trip.